Another Founder Wisdom podcast, guys, with Tiago Ferreira. We're going to talk about podcasting today, one of my favorite topic. Tiago is host and founder at Wannabe Entrepreneur, founder at Change It, and co-founder at PodSqueeze, which is a tool, podcasting AI tool that I found out on Product Hunt. So excited to jump in the topics here with you, Tiago. Tell us a bit more about yourself and your company.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So basically, I'm I'm a software developer by trade, and I worked in the first years of my career. I worked as a software developer in two different companies. I worked in a big company, a big tech company called Trivago, and another one, a smaller startup, also in the travel industry. But since I remember myself that I've been also an entrepreneur at heart, I've been always trying a lot of different projects, and most of them failed. Obviously, any entrepreneur knows how hard it is to get their projects up and running. So yeah, I've been trying a lot, and even when I worked in these companies, I always tried to bring a little bit of my entrepreneurial passion. I always tried to start new ideas and projects within the companies, but I always saw that most companies, they do not appreciate that because, well, these projects, this kind of innovation, well, they are very uncertain. So they know, normally you don't know if they will bring money or not, and these companies, they need money, they need cash flow. So after a while, COVID hit, and since I was working in the travel industry, the startup I was working at the time was completely killed by COVID. From one day to the other, we stopped selling and any bookings, obviously, because it was kind of forbidden to travel. So we were in this layoff system for a while, and we are trying to hold on things. But then this company ended up being sold, and I thought, okay, this is the perfect opportunity for me to focus on my entrepreneurial passion. So since then, it's been now 2 years. I basically left um, this lifestyle, 9 to 5 lifestyle, where you have a job and security and everything, and I just dove into my entrepreneurial passion. And I started I tried a lot of things. Some of them you mentioned in my bio. So Change It, which was my first project after leaving my job, which was a company for, or a project for a climate change project that helps people to live a more sustainable life. But yeah, that worked. I think it was a fun project, but didn't bring any money. Then I started my podcast, the Wannabe Entrepreneur, which started kind of in a therapeutical way because I thought, okay, I need to learn more about entrepreneurship, and I need a way to vent. And I love podcasting. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts for a while now. I'm really passionate about it. So yeah, it came naturally. I started just recording it in my phone, and then it kind of moved on to a better setup. And then with that, the whole Wannabe Entrepreneur brand. I have also a community for entrepreneurs. I've met a lot of makers, and then recently, and when I mean recently, basically 5 months ago, I partner with my co-founder João, also from Portugal, and we started PodSqueeze, which is a tool that uses AI to help podcasters repurpose their content. And since then, this project has taken off, and now is we just reached the milestone of $10,000 MRR, so monthly recurring revenue, and yeah, it's an amazing feeling, and it feels that we are really we hit product market. A lot of podcasters are enjoying our tool, which is great.
Good job, dude. Wow. Um, Yeah, you and I are gonna stick around to one another, just like planets. We're gonna gravitate because I am very, very bullish on podcasting as well. Just like you, I started listening to a bunch of podcasts. That's how I grew as an entrepreneur. And only recently have I jumped into the podcasting business myself, interviewing folks, being interviewed on other pods, and started my podcast agency, right, to get people invited to podcasts and to start their own podcast. I'm seeing various trends in the world. I'm seeing that this market is very ripe for disruption, right? A lot of people, they think, oh, podcasts, it's been around for quite a while. And yeah, I just posted about it on my LinkedIn that on my side, I seeing it's very, very ripe. First, I don't get invited to podcast. I'm an amazing guest to have. I share better content than most, and I'm not getting invited. That's like my one sign. Second, I'm seeing a bunch of folks that want to start their podcasts, yet they don't know where to start. And just like you did, which is like my next question to you, they have imposter syndrome. They're like, I'm not an interviewer, but they dream to be a radio guest. You know, they're like people at 40 years old that grew up on the radio and so forth. I mean, who didn't grow up listening to something? And they're like, yeah, I don't know where to start. I won't make money out of it. They've got like a bunch of excuses, which I list in my newsletter. So question for you, because I mean, I've been in the imposter syndrome zone. Starting this pod, you told me you've been there too. How does a talented guy like you, that's a software engineer that got experience and got hired by top companies and that's making 10K MRR, got the imposter syndrome and who knows, probably still has it?
Well, the 10K MRR just started recently. So,
But is that validation to your worthiness and your skills? You know, me, I could see that from your Trivago days.
mhm. It's a great question. I think it's hard to rationalize what imposter syndrome is and why does it become, and also why does it come in waves. Sometimes you feel like you're on top of the world. Sometimes you feel that you are an imposter. You cannot achieve what you think you can achieve. But um, yeah, I think it's also somehow normal for human beings. Maybe because we want to feel safe, right? We want to feel like we it's hard to leave our comfort zone as well, and we have this self-preservation values within us. So I think part of our brain is always saying like, yeah, play safe. At least my brain, there's of course people are different, but a lot of us think, okay, let's just play it safe, don't do this, don't do that. And and when I left my cushy job as a software developer to basically just follow my dream, I think part of my brain was saying like, you won't make it, just don't do it, stay in your safe zone. And maybe that's kind of a survival skill as well, just stay in your safe zone, don't risk it. So I think it's really important as well to accept the imposter syndrome, to accept that these things will happen, but to challenge yourself, right? And go through that, because now after the first months were terrible, I have to be honest, like a lot of anxiety, especially getting out of this 9 to 5 bubble where you have all the safety of being part of the social state, and you get unemployment fee and everything. Getting out of that it was hard, but then I just got used to that. And your brain is also, and our brain is also really good at getting used to things, right? So it's hard at first to leave our comfort zone, but then what then after a while the comfort zone just adapts and becomes something different. So now I feel much more in control. I don't feel as so much as a fraud, because it's been 2 years, and even people around me accepted it. At first people were like, okay, so Tiago, are you on holiday? Like what are you doing? So you have no job, you're living from your savings. What is that? People wouldn't understand it, but now they do. So I think it takes a while for one to recognize that, okay, this is my new state, this is my new lifestyle, and now I accepted it.
Humans are interesting, you know, that's crab in the bucket. Even if the best of humans have that, in which they're always competing against others and they're like, ah, yeah, you're kind of a joke, you're jobless and so forth. That is one. Two, like, I think there's two main mechanism at play here. And it's funny because us humans were 80, if not 90% negative by default, by nature. One is you're not seeing any momentum in your business and in your life, or you get the signs that you're a failure. For example, me, it would be people that refuse to come to my podcast, or the lack of revenue, right? And someday statistically it will just pile up as a big chunk of shit, you know, and you'll be like, fuck, man, this is hard. I'm a failure. And the second one, which is even more interesting, is like when things go well and when you get out of your comfort zone and you're out there naked, your body and your brain constantly finds a way to sabotage you back to square one because it's safe, right? So
Yeah.
let's say that I go to this retreat, you know, and I grow very much as a person and or a CEO. Well, a couple just after the retreat is done, I'm gonna go binge eat at a restaurant, and I'm gonna get stomach sick. Um, and yeah, these mechanisms, they're quite interesting and fascinating. As a student of the game, you get to observe patterns in your life, writing down and taking notes and taking data and having it analyzed by GPT and AI is a good way to see these patterns, or just being amazing at talking to people and also self-observing your self-consciousness. But yeah, I've seen that before. I've observed that before. But yeah, coming back to you, your beast, 10K MRR, that is, and I think it took you like, yeah, quite a short time to achieve. From what I'm reading on your
5 months,
LinkedIn, 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's quite fascinating. So how did you get that? I mean, the product is cool and the market is ripe, like I said, for the podcasting, but how the fuck did you get there? Is like, was it product hunt traffic? Like, how did you grow that fast?
Great question. So first of all, so I'm doing this with my co-founder. So everything I'm saying here, like we did it as a team, obviously, but he has more. He's a designer by trade, so he has more like we have really complementary skills, I think, which really helps. And then we both have like experience as an entrepreneur for like 10 years doing stuff, failing, and all of that. So obviously that when you see some success, people tend to think, okay, it was so fast, amazing, but like most people just forget that there were like years of failure before that, and learning, right? So I think that's also really important to mention. And then there was a lot of things that align. So first of all, AI, we just caught the wave in the right time, and there's a lot of great tools now being created because of that, because it feels like magic, right? So um, that's incredible. And then we just found product market fit. A lot of people, most podcasters, they need, or all podcasters, they need to create show notes. They need to grow their audience. They need to repurpose their content, sharing on social media, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. So they were already doing this, but it was taking them a lot of time. So there's two kinds of clients. One were like smaller podcasters that they have to do that, all of that themselves, and it takes them a lot of time. And the others are agencies. Agencies were actually hiring people to write this content, and they were paying big bucks for that, and they would wait maybe for 2 3 days to get all the content ready. And suddenly it comes this solution where they can just pay whatever, $10, and they get this content in minutes. So people, like a lot of podcasters say, okay, this is amazing, like I need this. So immediately we got really good product market fit out of the bat. And then we started, like we shared on Reddit at first. Like our first launch was like Reddit and Twitter and Product Hunt, which was a Product Hunt was a great boost as well. But yeah, it was also a great boost because I've done so many Product Hunt launches before, and I had like one or two upvotes in the past, right? So I kind of learned how to do it properly. So yeah, the Product Hunt was good, and it took us immediately, I think, to 2K MRR. And since then, our main sources of traffic, as we had two main ones. First one is cold email. We've been sending a lot of cold email targeting podcasters, and it's working really well because it's a good tool and people like it. And the other one has been AI directories. So there's a lot of websites where you can share your AI related tool, and that has been also bringing a lot of traffic to our website.
I mean, that's 600-ish clients that you have. That's quite amazing. That you
Yeah,
had
we
like
yeah.
you had like 60 from the bat almost in one day from the product hunt launch.
So it was not in one day, because once you launch, you still get product hunt traffic for at least like a week. So because we got top two, we got second place. So the first, you still have traffic for the first 2 or 3 days, and then there's a newsletter that product hunt sends. Then they also made like a little video about us. So like it takes some time. So in I think in 2 weeks, we got a lot of users from that. Yeah.
You think most entrepreneurs will be podcasters in the future?
I think most, now more than ever, personal brands is a thing. a lot of entrepreneurs, they need to create their personal brand. And you see that, like Elon Musk, he basically controls Bitcoin just because of his personal brand and how big he is. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs will need to be content creators, either on in a written form or an audio form. So it really depends what comes more natural to them. For me, speaking comes more natural. I don't like to write, so that's why I do podcasting. Uh, so yes, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that do podcasting as well. Also because it's very therapeutical. When you just sit down, and that's what I do. My podcast mostly is just myself speaking. It's a monologue, and I get to analyze a lot of things I'm going through. I'm just speaking. I don't have any. It's not scripted, so I'm just thinking and analyzing, and it's every. I do it every week. I do it every week for 2 years. Actually, at first I did it every day, but now I'm just doing every week, and it's like 300 episodes already. It's healthy for me. So yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs will definitely follow that path, and others will just write newsletters or be on Twitter, write a blog. So definitely, a lot of entrepreneurs are just content creators. Yeah.
Are you also doing interviews or being interviewed by a lot of podcasters?
I started doing interviews. I'm not doing them anymore. At first, I did a lot of them because I wanted to learn. So I got to interview great, amazing indie hackers, and I learned about them. I learned about their successes and their failures. Now I stopped a little bit, and I'm just doing monologues because it's just a lot of work to do interviews. I when you have to edit and everything. Now I'm also getting a lot of interviews about Pod Squeeze. So we are doing, I think in the past months we did like 5 or 6 just about Pod Squeeze. Yeah.
Interesting. When will you code an AI avatar of Charles so that I don't have to take my time to do all these interviews?
Yeah. I mean, isn't it fun to do? Like, don't you like it doing? Or would you prefer to have someone else?
I would still do it, but I would also have my thousands of avatars doing the intros, the interviews side by side.
Okay. Uh, I mean, to be honest, everything will change. Like, I cannot predict what the next 10 years of our lives will be because AI is such a disruptive thing. It's this disruptive technology of our lifetime, no doubt. So, or in my lifetime, there was also kind of internet, I guess, but it was still in the early days. But so I grew up basically with internet. But like now, AI, I use it for coding. I use it to write. You can use it for therapy. You can use it for anything. So sure, I think probably there will be in the next 5 years an avatar, a Charles avatar. I'm not sure if it's going to be exactly like you. I'm not sure if it's going to make the same questions, but I believe it might happen. Yeah.
I mean, 10 years, yeah, that's a lot. But trains still exist, you know, and when I walk in the streets, there's still people selling elotes and people making burgers and hot dogs. What I mean by that is that reality seems to be, and the present and the past, they seem to be pretty rock solid and a tough force to move. Because I've been there also, like imagining, you know, this metaverse, Ready Player One future modified by AI, but it will very much be similar to our worlds having today, or it will be completely unevenly distributed. What do you think?
It's really hard to predict. It's so hard. I think that now, for the first time ever, we have an API to a brain, right? So uh, we can now just communicate with a system that is basically a brain. It's smart. I don't know if you use it. I use it every day, and it's really smart. It's really like you can just communicate as you're communicating
Do I
with
look like
anyone
a
else.
guy that use it?
I have no idea. If
Make a
you
prediction.
do. I don't know. What is that? Is that a specific type of people
Well, I'm
that use
testing
AI?
your brain algorithm. Am I the type to use it?
Are you already an avatar? Now imagine you'll be like, and I am an avatar. I don't know, man. I think you're young, probably use it. It's something that a lot of people use.
No, I don't. I hate it, and I think it's a complete waste of time. I'm just kidding.
I'm very confused. So you use it or not?
Yes, I do, obviously.
Okay.
But I speak to these people
A lot of
sometimes, and
Charles, I
they're
have to be
like,
honest. I just sorry to interrupt. I just got an email because I sent a lot of cold emails, and someone just said like, "Can AI help you go fuck yourself? I hate AI, believe it." So like, there's people that hate it. So I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, but I just wanted to semi confuse your brain. It's like my evil pleasures. Because I do speak to these folks that are completely against AI. I had one of my podcasts earlier this week, and I mostly my main conclusion was that he was very low IQ. And I checkmate this guy probably 6 times on the podcast. Not super consciously, maybe I should not do that, but and I mean he can live his life. Just that, yeah, like financially, I don't think he will be very successful, nor will he be successful in other areas of his life, because if you deny reality, um I'm a contrarian by nature also, and yeah, I do think that most humans are fighting the reality, and they consciously or subconsciously ignore the reality. And me, my goal is to get as closest to the truth there is. So I kind of get annoyed, and I get this bad feeling in my heart when I speak to these people, but I still think I can learn from them anyway. I just wanted to throw you this thing with the few data that you had about me. You said yes, right? You said
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, you said
yeah.
okay. Yeah, so you're good. So what were we speaking about? We're speaking about the future, right? Like the me think it will be very much unevenly distributed, meaning that Peter Thiel, Peter Thiel, that's funny. He'll probably be in this alien metaverse somewhere or on this other planet, while a lot of folks will still be on this earth, going for a street burger in Mexico, just like if reality was still this same thing. Some people are going to live 1,000,000 years in the future, and some people are going to live 200 years in the past. But yeah, I guess it's a challenging question. If it doesn't generate much serotonin in your brain answering that one, we can move on to podcasting.
I mean I love to speak about that, and I love to speak about alternative realities. I think in my area, for instance, so we always assumed, and this is really interesting, we always assumed that the first jobs to be replaced were labor intense jobs, like a burger, someone that flips burgers, or a cook, or uh, but suddenly, from literally 1 month to the other, it comes an API to a brain. So, and a tool that actually comes and replaces what we thought was really hard to replace. People that, like, using your brain, so creativity, writing code, doing like image, a lot of things that we thought, okay, no one will ever replace this, and suddenly, no, these are the things that are being replaced. So it's funny because for the past maybe 10, 20 years, we have been, as a society, most of the countries in the world have been saying that we need to educate ourselves, that we need to have a degree, we need to go to college. But suddenly college doesn't look like as important as before, because you can study to be a lawyer for like 5, 10 years, whatever, and then suddenly I can get the contracts and everything, put everything in GPT, and I'm doing a better job than you. So what will this mean for our future? Does this, like, what will, how can you tell to all these people that were studying, like, okay, sorry, but now there's no space for you. So you either adapt, or, as you said, you live in the past, and living in the past means you have no job.
Yeah, you're just starving artist, starving musician, which keeps aiming for a version of reality that is not compatible with this version of reality.
Yeah.
I kind of got the vomit reflex when I think about education, because I told that on a podcast today. I really was a misfit in that system myself. And I cannot imagine the feeling that it is to be a student right now. I can just like try to remember me in university being in fucking political science, although I learned like very interesting things from that, or being in business and be like, yeah, and I'm not even sure if I'll be replaced once I graduate, right? So the stress added to the exams and all the bullshit. Well, at least I have GPT to help me during my exams. So that would have made me happy. I was running my businesses back then, probably making more than my teacher, which is why I dropped out. But yeah, it is an important question. And I think it's our role, like us founders, to also help these younger folks, and to give them a shot. For example, me, I stopped promoting the 9 to 5 system, paying people salary. And nowadays I'm like, okay, we're going to do rev share from day one. I'm also going to potentially give you shares of my company. Fortunately, there's platforms that are somewhat developing that. In the future, it would be automated, So we work together and the algorithm automatically distributes you a part of the revenue according to your energy output and your impact. And possibly shares of the company. What do you think about that future?
That's somehow connected with blockchain, isn't it?
It is,
So
yes.
blockchain is a very interesting technology because it's also very much connected with scams, right? But with the whole NFT especially, right? But the technology behind it is quite cool. I like the fact that you can actually just sell something and it's always connected, and the artist, the person that created always gets a share. So I think when people like pitched that idea to me, I thought, okay, that's cool. I like that. But then I saw how it was being used, and it was being used as most like word scams, like hypes and speculation. So I think that would be an interesting thing. Like, I think it's hard to measure though. Like you said it automatically would measure how much a person has worked and contributed for a project, and based on that, giving them share. Like how would a system do that?
I mean, it would be better, right? We would start with an easy beta, like, okay, this client pays me 1.5K a month. Who worked on that client? So how much do we give to the rep that created the cell? And how much do
But
we
how do you
give to
measure
the
work?
it's effort and output? And I mean, beta version would be quite easy. It's like on first principles, right? We could get into the nitty gritty, but okay. I mean, reps, they're paid on commission nowadays. So that is somewhat easy, SDRs too. And most of the recurring commission would go to the CSM, I guess. Another part of the commission would go to the manager, another one to the top execs, and another to the company to have some kind of war chest. It's somewhat easy, the beta version. Now, would it work as we want? No, but we would constantly improve it, probably have AI in the mix, calculating that, oh, if you give that much to Serena, she's going to give double back, and then it brings ethical questions, should Serena really earn more than Roger because she is more gifted or whatever? In a pure meritocracy, the answer would be potentially yes. Also, like blockchains, it's quite interesting, right? It's probably one of the only technologies that I can think of that we trued with the baby. Well, I mean, technology as a whole, a lot of people made that mistake, but this one is not a mistake. It's like there's a lot of scam in that world, and there's a lot of people that deny that. I've had people on this podcast and like, yeah, are you aware of the reputation of NFT, blockchains, and crypto? And they're like, no, dude, it's like no, it's you're probably miseducated or didn't get the data that a lot of, and it's pretty simple. It from again, first principles thinking and basic human psychology. It's people that love cash that aggregated there. The Winky brothers, what are the Winky brothers after? Certainly not changing the world. They were about pure cash. That's why they sued Zuckerberg. Zuck is also after cash. Fortunately, nowadays he changed with the Chan Zuck initiative. So yeah, like it's a beautiful tech. It works. It's like to me, it's like in the field of automation, right? Then if we add an AI to this, it could potentially save the world. I can certainly think of a gov tech that would use that technology for better voting system, electoral system, and so forth. So yeah, are people about to do the same thing with AI, throw the baby with bathwater? So far, we haven't seen any drama with AI. AI used to destroy people. We've seen journalists try to use AI to create stories, bullshit stories, like they're good at doing. But AI hasn't been thrown out yet. Will it be thrown out?
Well,
I
there was
don't think
this open
so.
letter. There was
Right.
this open letter signed by
Yes.
Elon Musk and a bunch of people saying that like they should stop developing. And to be honest, I feel that OpenAI kind of hit the brakes with
Yes.
their development. GPT-4
Yes.
is it's really smart, but it seems that it's a bit slower the rollout.
Yes.
Uh, so and there was a lot of podcasts, a lot of interesting people saying that it's really dangerous. Like a lot of people were saying like basically I can destroy the world. Like if you make something that is super smart, like a super intelligent, super general system, it can outsmart us, and the moment it outsmarts humans, can just kill us. Or so there's that part. Now it seems that it died out a bit, and people are not speaking so much about it. But yeah, there was a when GPT-4 was launched, everyone was like, "Hey, what is happening? Like, is this going to destroy us?"
Yeah, it's a mix of hype. It's a mix of magic also, right? So they deployed magic right over our eyes, and then we were like, what the fuck is that? So the brain generated tons of serotonin, a tsunami of serotonin, because indeed it added a lot of value, crazy value, like we've never seen historically before. So there was this mix of hype, and there was also this the parallel between magic, right? If I see Chris Angel do a magic trick in front of me, I'm gonna be like, holy fucking shit. While magic is understandable, once you understand the magic, the how, and GPT and OpenAI kind of, did they put a veil over your eyes by being like, oh, we don't even understand how it works? Maybe they did. Maybe it was not a stunt, but we're starting to understand the thing and reverse engineer it. And I think, yeah, it's been a huge leap forward, that's for sure. Why was that leap due? Just due to massive energy in one room. You reunite the best AI scientists in the world in one room. That's like a nuclear bomb. Now, is it going to explode? Are people going to use it for evil? Yes. Will it break the world? Probably not. Will it create something like 9/11 like? Probably. Like yesterday I was talking with a geopolitics guy, and what's stopping someone from hacking a drone, with AI, or just like, yeah, do evil at scale, because AI is very much about scale, right? So what do you think about the GPUs shortage that people are talking about right now? Are you like aware of that, or?
I'm not too much in that. Yeah, I don't
Well,
know much
bottom
about
line,
that topic.
Nvidia is like, yeah, it's they don't have enough GPUs to sell, AI GPUs, and
Okay.
there's like a shortage right now. How much more time do you have ahead of you, by the way?
Um, I would have 10 more minutes. That's
All
fine.
right, let's do 10. Podcast. Let's come back to podcast, because we went pretty far there, which
Yeah,
is still a good brain
it's
exercise.
fun. I mean, it's fun. I love speaking about
Yeah.
that. So no problem.
Yes. Podcasts. So AI avatar, that would be on my list. I started a business today, just like you. I love launching shit. I call it one experiment per day, right? If I do one experiment per day, that's 365 per year with a 3% hit rate. I might have 10 successes at the end of the year. And that's
Yeah.
quite a lot, actually. 10 successes is a whole fuck lot. Most people have one success in their whole lifetime. Anyway, so I started this list exchange company. So I have guests of podcasts. I have them as a list, like their email and all. And I would swap these lists with other lists. Oh, you have all the best business podcasts of 2023. You swap me your list against mine. And you understand that because you're in Too Cold Email, which is like what my agency does. What do you think about that idea? And could there be a tool that, I mean, there's listen notes, right? But it really sucks as a tool. The UX is bad. The price is bunkers. Do you think there could be a space for a tool that just like gives every people that's been on a pod and the best podcasters and some kind of marketplace and community to exchange their contacts for podcasting? That's my business idea. Do you think it'll succeed or it'll fail?
There's a lot of questions here. As
Bust in your
a
brain.
as a problem is like what is the problem that you're trying to solve?
The fact that people don't want to start about, I mean, we talk about imposter syndrome, but another reason is that they just don't know where to start. How will I invite all these guests, you know? LinkedIn, yes, but then how do you find someone that's interested in podcasting? Well, they've been on a podcast. Are they on the podcast tour right now? Are they promoting this book that's coming out? I mean, there's other ways to do that. I could just scrape Amazon, all the nonfiction books that are about to come out. But another way is just checking like how much pods have they been booked to, and the likelihood that they would be a fit with my podcast. Basically, a better matchmaker, if you want, because matchmaker, it sucks because people have to subscribe, right? You and I, we believe in cold email. So I have a list of 500 marketing podcasts. You have a list of 500 growth podcasts. I exchange my list with yours. I'm just not sure how this platform would make money, but I have suggestions.
Yeah, that would be my next question. However, is it hard for you to find guests for your podcast?
No, but it would be for others because other humans are picky and are mentally wrong, you know, like they think they need to overdo quality. Me, I do it with Apollo, right? So I just reach out to every freaking CEO on earth, and I can add
Yeah.
like filters, right? A CEO in the fintech industry. Oh, he has creator as a title, Creator Wisdom Podcast. Most folks though would want to go really precise and potentially search for all the guests that were on Tim Ferriss' podcast and have their email.
Right.
So my platform would either provide them that, or it would pair them with a member that would do that. And there would be a membership
Okay.
fee. If they sell the list and not exchange it, I'd take a cut out of it.
But they don't get necessarily the interview, right? So they would just get the
No,
contact.
just the list.
Yeah. But then you are not really solving. You're solving part of the problem, but not the whole problem, right? Because
Right.
what they really want is the interview. Yeah, getting the contact is halfway there, or maybe 10%. I don't know. It depends. So in that sense, that solution is, if the problem is to get very specific characters in your podcast, then you are just offering half of a solution. Can you
Right.
offer the full solution?
Yeah, but I'd start beta. And the full solution is kind of hard to offer because they somewhat need to pitch themselves, especially if they don't have any traction. You know, if you're Tim Ferriss, man, the president will fucking come on the podcast. Obama, you know, he'll come on Tim Ferriss' podcast. Maybe not Trump though, because no one wants him. No one sound-minded wants him on a podcast. Or like people that are greedy and wanting to make money will surely have Trump and Tate on their pod.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another conversation. But yeah, I'm starting that one. Then I want to get your take on other features that you could add on your app, potentially problems that I am facing with my pod. What do you think about RSS feed? Aren't they dumb and all?
Dumb? Do you think they're dumb?
Yeah. Like, what's an RSS feed? You know, like, why do I need an RSS feed? Why can't I just plug my pod in one app and they would publish it everywhere? There's apps doing that, but they're not like that. One is not going to publish on YouTube, another is not going to publish on TikTok. I don't see
Right.
any company doing
Yeah,
that
these
one thing
platforms,
right.
these platforms, no. Like mine, I use Red Circle for my podcast, and it like just publishes on Spotify, Apple, like all these main streaming platforms. Yeah, it doesn't do YouTube. I have my own. That's actually something we want also to integrate with PodSqueeze. To like, because I think YouTube is a great place to put your podcast on. TikTok actually have that's also something we want to do, like to convert a podcast into snippets that can easily share on Instagram and TikTok. So that's all of these features are in the backlog, and we hopefully will be
I
working on
use
them
Opus for
soon.
that. You've probably checked it too, right? Opus. They were on Product Hunt at the
Never
same
heard.
time as you. Okay,
They
I'm gonna
also
send you the
generate.
link. They're
They
very
also
good.
generate link. Okay.
Yes, for YouTube Short, they're really good. They're unstoppable. They'll be one of your main competition if you go in that feature.
Yeah.
and they're probably gonna crush you because they're like they're focused on that only.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, I
And
was
let's
using another one
circle
called Recast before, for
recast.
videos, and it was cool. It was cool. Um, I've started using it now, but I don't know because I'm not so invested in growing the podcast, I guess. But yeah, so I think that. But in terms of like your question, like back to your question, like, do you like RSS feed? I actually love it,
I
and I'll tell
used
you
it
why.
once, well, last year, and then I had people manage my podcast. I fired them all because they were not doing a good job. And then I probably need to log back again my website, charlescormier.com, and find a goddamn
Hmm.
RSS feed there, whatever that is.
I mean, yeah, it's not very easy to manage. Like, I like the concept of the RSS feed because, so let's say that if you have a video, if you are a video maker, there's basically only one platform where you can share your videos. Well, two. You have TikTok, Instagram. Okay, you can do the reels. But if you have like a proper video, it's only YouTube. YouTube basically controls you. There's no other way. And there were so many problems with YouTubers like getting demonetized and everything because they just depended on this platform and in their algorithm. Now, what I love about podcasting is that you have this RSS feed where you just every time you post something new, it gets up. This feed gets updated, and all these other platforms are just consuming this feed, but they don't control you. If they decide to change the algorithm, fine. Then maybe you lose a little bit of traffic because Spotify is quite big, but you still have like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, whatever. So I love the fact that you can share one episode and it's a distributed medium, and so that I really like, and I hope that this stays for our like industry, for the podcasting world.
Right. So how can I use Spot Squeeze myself? Because I use a GPT app for YouTube. You know, I just click on it and it gives a highlight of my video. I put it in the description. Maybe I'd like to do the chapters thing and segment my podcast the right way. Me, I'm really bullish on YouTube. That's the only place where I publish, which is weird. I'm about to publish on these other platforms though, as soon as I come up with a system that posts everywhere and that I stop being lazy, kind of. But I'm quite bullish on YouTube and YouTube Shorts. So how can I use um, Pod Squeeze? And I've tried to use it. Not sure if I found value. Probably not because I didn't get hooked to it. But how can I use it for my pod to grow it?
So if you only share it on YouTube, but either way, so you can go on PodSqueeze, and we have a free tier. The free tier at the moment you can only use the RSS feed. So you just select, you put your RSS feed, then you have a list of episodes, and you can just pick one episode, and then it will convert that episode into like, it will transcribe it, and then it will generate a bunch of things. It will generate the show notes, like an introduction that you can share on YouTube, and then it will also generate timestamps. The cool thing now with both like Spotify, YouTube, and probably other platforms is just if you just copy paste the timestamps into the description of your video, it will automatically create these segments in the video that you probably have seen already, so people can immediately go there and find, okay, they are talking about utopic future, click. And so it's an easier way to navigate, and you can just use Pod Squeeze. You have that created in a few minutes, and you just copy paste, done. Then if you want to create a blog post about what we just talked about, we create a blog post, you can edit a little bit, you can even use like an integration GPT to edit and put your own voice, and then you can share it in your newsletter, or we also generate tweets. So if you want to grow your audience, then that's the way, but like out of the bat, using the show notes and the timestamps will already bring you some value.
Yeah, you're right on that. And it's also tough to find a tutorial on how to do that. So I think I'll publish one on my website. Hopefully we'll drag SEO. It's just not clear how to segment the YouTube in chapters. I call them chapters. And that's
Yeah.
a function that is only on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not on Spotify, although it might
Spotify is also
come.
doing it now.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, Spotify is doing it. It's cool. I didn't know, but I just, oh, cool. Just automatically.
And what's next on your roadmap? Like what would be the the other feature. Like I said, like me, I think I'm a great guest and I'm not getting invited by no one. And every time I reach to a CEO, let's say 1 out of 10 is their first podcast. A lot of them do really well. So there's also, this market is also underexploited. And if someone starts their own pod, they become a good guest also. So, and that's a fucking flywheel right there, for someone that is taking both sides of the platform. And I don't think that Matchmaker did it well. I'm not sure how I would do it, but that's also something that's underexploited. So with that in mind, what would be the next feature that you have on the roadmap?
With that in mind, or because
With any that
the
and like anything you've saw or
right.
imagined.
So like for Pod Squeeze, we wouldn't focus on that. So for Pod Squeeze, are basically focusing on trying to help people grow their audience by repurposing their content. And we'll probably work on the video, the snippets, which is something that people have asked a lot. We try to like listen to our users and do whatever they ask. If a lot of people are asking for that, it's probably there's something there. So that's something we'll definitely do. So the snippets, better content, and yeah, that's probably the bigger features we'll be adding. We also had like small features that help agencies to manage the podcast better. We are recently doing something a little bit more creative that we still don't know if it will work or not. It's this is like a personal problem of mine, which is like it's super hard to find podcast episodes. Like the if you go on Spotify and everything, their search is shit. Like there's no proper way to find it. Like YouTube is really good at that. You search and you get videos and you get great recommendations, but for podcasts that doesn't exist. So now we basically realize that we have this tool and that people are using every day, and we are generating this transcription of so many episodes that now we can index that. So one cool thing that I believe to be cool, I don't know if it will work, is that we will try to make the best episode finder for podcasts uh, in the world. We're trying to make it, and we are already have done the first steps towards that, and we'll probably be releasing that soon and see if people are interested in that, and if people basically find better and more episodes through our search engine.
I think podcasting companies have taken advantage of that from an SEO level. They published a pod on their own website and hopefully have some transcript to pull massive SEO. Anyone that search on Google, the Buzzsprout, let's say, will pop first. You click, and then there's the menu up there telling you a bit more about Buzzsprout, which is genius. Again, couple of features that could be cool, right? Like auto identify who the guest is and link their LinkedIn and their website in the description. That'd be pretty nice. Auto sponsors, right? So like, let's say that I keep mentioning this product. I constantly refer Apollo to this podcast. It's the cold email software I use. It would pop my affiliate link in there, or the Amazon affiliate link of a product I keep referring to, so that I don't even have to have sponsors, and the advertising, quote unquote, becomes genuine, and I don't have to block the flow of a conversation artificially with an ad. That would also be cool.
That's an interesting feature.
Yeah,
that's
complex.
An interesting thing. Like connect, yeah, it's complex, but like if we would connect to a network of sponsors that are interested in specific keywords, and they'd be like, whatever, if someone is speaking about headphones, I want to be there. And then once you generate through Pod Squeeze, we immediately say, hey, here are a bunch of like sponsors that would like if you mention them, or if you just put them. Yeah, that's interesting.
Amazon probably has an API for that, by the way. And the genius part would be that you would take a cut.
Yeah.
You'd have a fucking unicorn.
Something definitely to think about.
So yeah, let's keep touch. You and I have a podcast, a mastermind with other podcast folks in the SaaS industry, some podcast agencies. Maybe that would be of value to you. It's called Level 96 and it's free. We meet once a month, so I'm gonna invite you to one of that because I vibe with you. I love your brain. Where can people find out more about you, Tiago?
Thanks. just go on Twitter. But Twitter is my main platform. It's WBE Tiago, at WBE Tiago is my Twitter handle. And yeah, you can just DM me there, see what I'm up to, see my projects,